Hailed by some of Bosnia-Herzegovina's politicians as a big step towards EU membership, the progress report by the European Commission opened up the possibility to start EU accession talks with this Western Balkan country. But was the report really that good? And will Bosnia really start negotiations anytime soon? Let's look at the key line from the report. The European Commission recommends the opening of EU accession negotiations with Bosnia-Herzegovina once the necessary degree of compliance with membership criteria is achieved. So this year the report wasn't that bad, and this is because Bosnian authorities have actually done something. As the report notes, the Council of Ministers adopted strategies to counter organized crime, to manage migration better, and to combat terrorism. And it even devised an action plan for anti-money laundering. But perhaps the highlight was the real progress on the 14 key priorities on issues such as the rule of law, fundamental rights, and public administration reform that Brussels gave Sarajevo back in 2019. The European Commission concluded that Bosnia has completed 2 out of those 14. Firstly, an amended law to prevent torture and ill treatment, and secondly, to set up a stabilization and association parliamentary committee, a sort of body that deals with all political aspects related to the EU. That leaves 12 unfulfilled priorities. For example, more protection for the LGBT community, fighting corruption and organized crime, and ensure greater reconciliation in the country after the wars of the 1990s. In fact, compared to other EU hopefuls such as Georgia, Moldova and Ukraine, Bosnia has met far less conditions despite having longer time to do so. And it doesn't stop here. Go through chapter after chapter in this report, stretching over 140 pages, and you see a pretty grim picture. Bosnia has either made some progress, limited progress, or no progress whatsoever in all types of fields, from agriculture to market economy reform. Again, it is doing worse than the 3 East European countries. Republici Srpskoj perhaps get the biggest slap, with the report pointing out that there have been recent negative developments in the entity, before listing everything from the call on constitutional judges to resign, the reintroduction of criminal penalties for defamation, and proposing a draft law targeting civil society groups as foreign agents. So, where does this all leave Bosnia? Well, the European Commission will report back to member states on progress by March next year. Will there be enough progress in Bosnia to start talks? Perhaps. Ultimately, it depends on whether consensus can be achieved among the 27 EU member states. And now, the big picture. Bosnia was granted EU candidate status in 2022, despite a scathing report from the European Commission. Largely, this status was a big compromise. Ukraine and Moldova got candidate statuses early that year, via unanimity, in the bloc. So the thinking was that Bosnia should have it as well. Well, it is likely that Ukraine and Moldova will start accession talks in 2024. And some EU member states, such as for example Austria, Hungary and Slovenia, will continue to push for Bosnia to be included in that group as well. You can't just push for the Easterners after all. And here is the thing, there is a feeling that one success story is needed in the Western Balkans. The political turmoil in Montenegro over the last 2 years has meant little progress on reforms. Serbia remains stuck due to scant progress on the normalization process with Kosovo and its failure to align with EU sanctions on Russia. North Macedonia's and Albania's path currently remain blocked after bilateral spats with EU member states Bulgaria and Greece respectively. And then there's Kosovo, whose independence is still not recognized by 5 EU member states and whose application is still languishing in the Council and won't be sent over to the European Commission for an official opinion unless there is consensus. So that leaves us with Bosnia. Hardly a success story, but a country that just may reach the next stage with some more ambition and a large dose of political horse trading in Brussels.